I gave my parents all my savings for a joint venture. After 6 months, they bought me a new car and they told me, "You're still young, you'll make money." Hello, I don't know where to start, so I'll start by telling you how it was. I live in Iowa. I'm 29. I work as a software engineer remotely for a company in California. In 3 years, after I stopped participating in every bar party with my colleagues, refused vacations, and didn't buy anything more expensive than $100 without questioning myself, I managed to save up $38,500. This was my apartment money. I dreamed of a small townhouse in the suburbs of Des Moines, to finally have a place where I could put my couch, not pay $1,200 a month for rent, and have a daycare for my dog. My parents live in a rural area, 40 minutes away from me. My father owns a small farm machinery repair shop. My mother is an accountant at school. They were always independent, but recently it became known that business was going badly. Old tractors are difficult to repair, clients are late paying, insurance has gone up. They live together in a house they bought back in 1998, and they never asked me for money. On the contrary, every birthday they brought me an envelope with $100 for something nice for myself. One evening when I came to dinner, my father said, "Son, we were thinking, maybe you'd like to invest in the business? We're planning to buy new equipment, computer diagnostics for John Deere. It's $30,000. If you invest, we'll share the profits. You get 20% of everything we earn above the old level. That's better than bank interest, right?" I thought for a long time. But they're my parents. They raised me, supported me when I was studying. I didn't ask them for money, on the contrary, I always tried to be independent. And suddenly, a chance to help them and at the same time earn money myself? It sounded logical. I signed the agreement. Not legally, just a receipt on a piece of paper. Brat M. invests $30,000 in the development of his parents' business. In return, he receives 20% of the additional net profits starting from January 1, 2024. The investment is non-refundable unless the business goes bankrupt. I gave the money via bank transfer. Mom hugged me and said, "You are the best son in the world." Everything was fine for the first 2 months. Dad showed me photos of the new equipment, said that customers were already feeling the difference. I even received my first profit, $430 in early March. Not much, but we started. And then, silence. In early June, I drove to the workshop. There was new equipment, yes. But there was a new Ford F-150 standing next to it, red, shiny, with a full package. I asked, "Is this for business?" Father smiled. "Well, the old pickup is already 17 years. We decided that if we were updating the equipment, we also needed transportation. We took out a loan, but we paid part of it from the profit." "What profit?" I asked. "Where is my 20%? But everything is developing, son. We also bought a new lift, ordered spare parts. The money is flowing." I started asking for financial reports. Simple, like in accounting. I even offered to help with the accounting system. Mom suddenly said, "What, don't you trust your father? He's your father. Do you want us to understand your work? We don't get into your finances either." It hit home. I didn't want to create a conflict. I said that I just wanted to understand how the business was growing. But from then on, they started avoiding me. The calls became short. "Everything is fine, there is profit, we don't share yet, because we have to invest more." I started analyzing what I saw. A new pickup, $58,000. Insurance, $180 a month. But there was no indication on their website or social media that they were now working with new equipment. No ads. No new customers. Even in the farmers' Facebook group, no one wrote about new diagnostics at Miller's shop. And then I did what was probably wrong, but I couldn't help myself. I invited my father's old customer, Mr. Harrison, for coffee, who had repaired a tractor there last year. We knew each other a little. His son works in the same industry. "I hear your father has new equipment for John Deere now?" he asked. "Yes, computer diagnostics," I said. "Oh, that's interesting. Do they use it?" "Well, yes, they say." I took my 7230 there last week, and they diagnosed it with an old scanner. I myself saw. And I even asked if they had bought new equipment. Your father said, "We're still waiting for the delivery." I felt the blood in my head boil. Are you sure? And how? I worked with this scanner myself. It's not the same device. I thanked him, drank coffee, but I didn't hear anything anymore. I was driving home, and one thought was spinning in my head. I was cheated. They gave me $30,000, and they didn't even buy what I gave them money for. And then I remembered, a new pickup truck. How did they buy it? I checked through open data. In Iowa, it is possible the transport register showed that the Ford F-150 was purchased for cash on April 10th. The date was 3 weeks after I transferred the $30,000. Cash. Not a loan. And it wasn't a share of the profits. It was my money. I sat in my garage, staring at my laptop with the vehicle registry open, and a wave of emotion washed over me that was hard to describe. Not anger. Not resentment. It was worse, the feeling of being thrown out of my life. As if the family I had thought was unbreakable had suddenly turned out to be a stage play where I was playing the role of the good son, and they were the loving parents who had simply gone a little too far. I stayed up all night. I checked all my transfers, my bank statements, and even found a copy of that receipt. It was undated, unsigned, and legally binding. I had given $30,000 that I could use for my future, and I got a promise on paper that they didn't even consider it necessary to keep. The next day I called my mom. "Mom, I'd like to see the last 3 months of financial statements. At least a general income and expense table. I'm an investor, right?" She paused for a few seconds. "Do you want us to show you the books?" Your father would take that as a sign of distrust. This isn't about trust, Mom. This is about the fact that I invested $30,000 in your business. I have a right to know where the money went. And why isn't the new equipment that was supposed to be purchased with that money still in use? "The equipment is already there," she said sharply. "It's in the garage, it's just not fully set up yet." "And why did Mr. Harrison fix the tractor last week and Dad said it was still on its way?" Silence. "I don't know what he told you. But we didn't take your money for the pickup truck. We just reallocated the funds. Business needs flexibility." Reallocated? It's my savings, Mom. I denied myself everything for 3 years so I could have a chance to buy my own home. And you bought a pickup truck that costs almost as much as I invested? "We didn't buy it with your money," she was already shouting. "We took cash from an account that was replenished from profits. But you said the business was losing money, that you couldn't pay the insurance. And suddenly you have $58,000 in cash." "We were saving," she replied. "And your contribution allowed us not to take out a loan. That's what business development is all about, having free capital." I turned off the phone. I felt sick. 2 days later I arrived at their garage. Unannounced. My father was there washing tools. I approached him calmly. "Show me the new equipment. The one that costs $30,000. "It's in the office," he said, not looking at me. "Show me." He sighed, went into the small office near the entrance. He opened a closet. There was an old scanner they had had since 2016, and a small laptop with a cable. "Is that it?" "Well, partially. We haven't bought the main unit yet. There's a delay in delivery." "But you said it was here. And Mr. Harrison said you told him you were still waiting." "Well, maybe I was wrong. Or he misunderstood." Data checked. "You bought the pickup truck for cash on April 10th. My transfer was April 1st. You didn't buy any new equipment. No new lifts. No parts. You just took my money and bought yourself a new car." He stood there, staring at the floor. Then he looked up. "What did you think? That we'd be working on the old stuff forever? We're investing in the business. A pickup truck is a tool. I go to farmers, I carry parts, I diagnose on the spot. It's an investment. But we agreed on a specific deal. I gave the money for diagnostics, not for your personal comfort." "Personal comfort?" He laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. "You sit in your air conditioner, work from home, earn your $50 an hour, and you talk to me about comfort? I've been fixing other people's tractors for 35 years so you can study, have a computer, go on summer vacations. And now you come here and blame me?" I felt the ground give out from under my feet. It wasn't about the money. It was about the reward. About what he thought I still owed him. That $30,000 wasn't an investment, but paying off the debt of upbringing. I got in the car and drove home. On the way, I stopped at a motel, got out, and sat on a bench by the highway. It was about 9 p.m. The night was quiet, except for the sound of trucks. And then I realized, they never planned to share the profits. They never intended to buy this equipment. They simply used my faith, my desire to be a good son, to get money that they would never give back. But the worst part was that part of me still wanted to justify them. Maybe they really think this is normal? Maybe they're just from a different generation, and for them, family is a collective wallet. But that's not true. I didn't ask them for money when I was studying. I didn't ask when I was sick. I didn't ask when I had surgery on my dog. And now, when I asked for clarity for the first time, I was accused of being selfish. After that night, I didn't call them for weeks. I didn't answer their calls. Mom wrote, "Are you angry? We're your family." I deleted the message. Not because I don't love them, I still do. But love doesn't mean you should allow yourself to cheat. I invited a lawyer for a consultation, a financial lawyer from Des Moines. I explained the situation. He listened carefully, looked at a copy of the receipt. Look, technically this is not a contract. There is no signature from their side, no date, no description of obligations. It doesn't even indicate what exactly is being purchased. It is, at best, a moral obligation. Legally, nothing. You can sue for the return of the funds as non-essential enrichment, but it's difficult. They will say that it was voluntary assistance, not a loan. And the court, especially in a rural county, is inclined to side with the parents. And what if I prove that the money did not go to the promised cause? Proof is your if. But even if you prove, it doesn't change the fact that you transferred the money voluntarily. To win, you need to prove fraud. And for that, you need evidence, documents, and intent to deceive. It's not easy. What about that pickup truck? If you can prove that the money from your transfer was used to buy it, there might be a chance. But they won't give you the bank records voluntarily. You need a warrant. And it's a criminal investigation if you go that route. Are you ready to file a police report against your own parents? I fell silent. No, I said. Not ready. The lawyer sighed. Then the best thing you can do is set boundaries. Not financially, but emotionally. And if they don't return the money, accept it as a loss. As a tragedy that happens to many families. You're not the first. And, unfortunately, you won't be the last. I paid him $200 and drove home. On the way, I stopped at a store, bought a bottle of whiskey. Not because I drink, but that night I needed something to drown out my thoughts. I sat on the porch, looking at the stars, asking myself, how could this happen? How could the people who raised me do this? And suddenly everything fell into place. My father is an old-school man. For him, family is a hierarchy. He is the head. He makes decisions. He cares. And the children are the ones who must obey, respect, and at some point, give thanks. When I gave him the money, he probably really believed that it was ours together, not mine. That he had the right to dispose of it, because it's the family business. That buying a new pickup truck was not a luxury, but a necessary investment, even if he drove it to the store to get milk. And my mother, she was always the middleman. She didn't take money, she didn't sign anything. But she silently agreed. Because she is afraid of conflicts. Because it's better for the family. Because she doesn't want to lose her husband. And they both probably really believe that I am too young to worry. That I will still earn everything. That we had difficulties and you should have helped. But for me, this money is not an abstraction. It is 36 months of giving up vacations, trips, new sneakers, even coffee at the bar. It is sleeping in a room with poor insulation, because I couldn't afford anything better. It is fear when the company laid off people, and I thought, I wish I had an apartment, otherwise I would go back to my parents. And they took it. They didn't lend it. They didn't ask. They just took it. A week later, my mother came to see me, unannounced, standing on the porch with a pie in her hands. I know you are angry, she said. But we can't live like this. We are yours family. Mom, I replied, I'm not angry. I'm upset. I gave the money because I believed in you. Because I believed that we were doing something important together. And you didn't even try to follow through on the deal. You didn't even say no when I asked about the equipment. You lied. We didn't lie. We just reconsidered the investment. Reconsidered? It's my money, not your investment. I didn't ask you to manage my savings. But you said you wanted to help. Yes, but on specific terms. I didn't give you complete trust. I gave the money for a specific purpose. She started crying. Your father, he feels guilty. But he'll never say it. He thinks you're disrespecting him. That you've become countryside. That you've forgotten who raised you. I fell silent. Because it was worst. They twisted everything. Now I'm an egoist. I'm an ungrateful child. I'm the one who's destroying the family. Mom, I said quietly, I don't want to destroy the family. But I can't live in a family anymore where my money is your wallet and my dreams are something to put off for later. What do you want? She asked. I want you to give me back at least some of it. At least $10,000. At least as a sign that you understand what you did wrong. She shook her head. We can't. The business hasn't paid off yet. The pickup is an investment. I closed the door. Then, Mom, we don't have to talk anymore. She stood there for a long time. I saw her through the window. Then she got in the car and drove away. I didn't open the pie. After my mother left, I didn't leave the house for 3 days. Not because I was depressed, I just needed to figure out who I was now. Not the son I could trust. Not the family member who had a seat at the table. But a person who had lost not just money but also the belief that intimacy meant honesty. I started writing. Everything. Every conversation, every story, every lie. I collected all the bank statements, screenshots of the correspondence, even the audio, unofficially, of the conversation with Mr. Harrison, where he confirmed that my father had said that the new equipment hadn't arrived yet. I don't know why, maybe for myself. Maybe so that someday if things got worse, I would have proof. And then I did something I hadn't even thought about before. I started looking for a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I realized I can't process this on my own. This isn't just conflict. This is trauma. The trauma of your parents, whom you respect, using your love as a weapon. The first session was hard. I cried. Not because I miss the money, although I do. But because I miss who they should have been. Who I thought they were. It was hard for me to accept that my father was not a hero, but simply a human being with his weaknesses, fears, and perhaps a deep sense of inferiority that he compensated for with control. The therapist said something that struck me. Many parents believe that their children should always be in debt. Not financially, but morally. For giving them life, for giving them shelter, for giving them food. And when the child becomes an adult, this debt turns into an expectation. You have to obey, you have to help, you have to keep quiet when they cross the line. And when you demand justice, it is perceived as a betrayal. I understood. They don't see it as theft. They see it as natural redistribution. I am the son, they are the parents. Do I have more than they do? Then some of it belongs to them. This is not fraud, this is family logic. But this logic destroyed me. A month after our last conversation, my mother wrote, Your father is sick. He has back problems. The doctor says he may need surgery. We don't know how we will pay for it. I read it and felt nothing. No sympathy. No guilt. Just coldness. If before I could say, I will help, now I knew this could be the next story. The surgery could be a new roof for the garage, a new fishing boat, another tool for the business. I answered simply, What documents from the doctor? What are the estimated costs? If it's serious, I'll help, but through payment directly to the hospital, and on the condition that you provide all the receipts. She didn't answer for 3 days. No need. We'll manage on our own. Your father says he doesn't want your conditions. He'd rather suffer. I didn't answer. And then I realized, they don't want help. They want obedience. They want me to say, Sorry, I was selfish, here's my money, use it as you want. And only then will they accept me back into the family. But I can't do this. Because if I do this, I'll never be able to trust anyone again. Not even myself. I started looking at my life differently. I opened a new account. Separated. Even from my girlfriend, we've been dating for 2 years. I hide the details of my finances. Not because I don't trust her, but because I've learned. Now I understand that money is not just a tool, it's a boundary. And when someone crosses it without permission, it's not a mistake. It's character. I started saving again. Slowly. $500 a month. I found a cheaper insurance policy, gave up cloud services that I didn't use. I even started considering moving, not because I hate them, but because sometimes distance is the only way to save yourself. One day I was driving past their garage. My dad was standing by his new pickup truck, washing it. He saw me. I nodded. He didn't. I kept driving. A week later he called. I didn't answer. He didn't leave a message. And then nothing. No calls. No holidays. No birthdays. And now we haven't seen each other for 4 months. No talk. Nothing. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes I think, maybe I was too hard? But then I look at my apartment, at my dog, at my laptop, at the account where the numbers are again growing, and I understand, I can't lose another dream. I can't let my kindness be a weapon against me. And the worst part? I don't know if I'll ever be able to say, Dad, again without feeling pain. Will I ever be able to sit at the table with my mom? It's been 9 months since I transferred $30,000. Today is Saturday. Snow is falling all over Iowa. I'm sitting at home, my dog Rocky lying by the fireplace, and I'm finishing my coffee, looking out the window at my little yard. There's a new greenhouse. It's not big, only 8 by 10 feet. It cost $1,200. I built it myself. But it's mine. Every nail, every sheet of polycarbonate, bought with my own money. 3 weeks ago I got a letter. Not an email. Real, on paper, postmarked. From my mom. No stamp, so she brought it to the post office herself. I couldn't write for a long time. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how to start. Your father had surgery. It wasn't too complicated, but the recovery is slow. He can't work, and business is struggling. We took out a loan for the equipment we told you about. It came in 2 months ago. I'm not asking for money. I'm writing to let you know that we realized we did something wrong. Not everything, but a lot of it. Your father doesn't talk about it. But he saw you drive by and didn't stop. He says he thought it was family equity, not your money. That he thought he was doing the best for everyone. But now he sees that he broke your trust. And there's no justification for that. We can't get that $30,000 back. We can't even get $10,000 back. But I want you to know that we're sorry. And if you can ever forgive us, we'll wait. You'll always be our son. With love. I read the letter twice. Then again. And I didn't cry. I just sat there. And I thought, this is the closest thing to an apology they'll ever give. Will I forgive? Not now. Maybe never completely. But I've learned one thing. Forgiveness is not an obligation. It's not something you have to do because they're your family. Forgiveness is a process. And it doesn't start with a letter. It starts with behavior. With them showing that they've changed. That they respect boundaries. That they'll never use my love against me again. I didn't reply to the letter. But I put it in a drawer. Next to the receipt. As a reminder. So here is my advice to those who read this. If your parents ask for money, let it be a loan. It is better to give it to them just like that or not at all. Thank you for watching this video to the end. There are many more interesting stories for you on my channel. I will be very glad to see you again on my channel.